I end up having to play a lot of Star Wars Empire at War, so especially with the last Corvette-only challenge involving a lot of wrist strain, I thought I would see whether the AI could win the game playing for me. It'd be great. I'd get to put out a video claiming it's a cool premise when really I just wouldn't have to do all that much. What I didn't know was that this was going to be about the most frustrating video I've ever done. The last one may have been a danger to my wrist, but this was a danger to my mind. The rules were simple though. Using a modified version of Thrawn's Revenge altered with some help of the mod's AI programmer, Evil Bob the Bob, I'd sit there and let the game do everything for me except for move the camera. And we'd see if we could win by capturing every planet with a major shipyard, so level 3 or 4. Star Trek rules apply, which means it's of utmost importance that I don't interfere, but also that I kind of did sometimes anyways.
Well, make it so, number one.
Mostly just queuing up a couple expensive ships, which I wasn't sure if the AI was going to build. We opened up with some successful moves into the independent worlds around us, Gravlix Med and Morishim, but the good news wouldn't last. The New Republic decided they wanted Gravlix Med, and the Empire took Morishim as well, with a quick follow-up by the New Republic at Dubrillion. That may have put us at a net -1 planet so far, but within a few in-game months, Grand Admiral Grant was sent by our top strategist to retake Dubrillion. Things really started to turn around for us when we got a new influx of heroes 20 months in, giving us Artis Kane's economic discount, along with Governor Ib Dakit in a massive Praetor battlecruiser. I watched like a proud uncle while Dakit not only took back Morishim, but also went through to Ord Benir, and then another fleet went up the western flank taking Wistrel, Arinda, all the way south through Ord Mantell, before finally taking Ethor, splitting every remaining enemy planet into groups of at most 4, and as far as I knew, putting me well on the way to making dinner at a very reasonable 6 PM. As you can probably tell from the fact that the video isn't over yet, that good news wouldn't last, but for now, things still looked good. When the New Republic took Cernpidal from the Empire, it reduced the Empire to only 2 planets. That meant that the following month, the Empire's remaining forces would be joining up with ours. It may only be 2 planets, but that was still a good chunk of the total 30 in the Galactic Conquest. I was thinking this would be the final nail in the New Republic's coffin. We'd have a fresh set of units and heroes, and there'd be one less avenue to defend against. They'd managed to secure a pretty significant set of connected planets while we'd been both picking off the Empire, but I was still confident that that could be dealt with and we were set up for success. It seemed like I was right not to be worried. We quickly took not just Levian 2, further into the New Republic's main territory in the south, but we also managed to take back Generis, Garki, and Ord Benir, using a mix of our standard fleets and even one of our more powerful Super Star Destroyer heroes. There was still a bit more back and forth on some of these and other planets, but we were now way ahead of the New Republic in both economy and production, so how could they possibly resist us? Only 50 or so months in, having Levian 2 in particular meant we were only one jump away from Contrum, the final shipyard planet we needed to win, and the confirmation that my 6 PM dinner of leftovers would be eaten on schedule. I was so good at this game, I didn't even need to touch the mouse. I sat there eagerly for another hour, getting more and more agitated as we slowly gained some other territory, but still didn't just make that final jump to Contrum. I started to see the flaw in my hope for an easy, lazy video. I had absolutely no control over what was going on. Victory was so close I could taste it, but no matter how much I yelled at my computer, the AI had gotten nearly as arrogant as I had, content to sit around, tightening its grip slowly but not putting us all out of our growing misery. I still never gave up hope. But then in-game month 95, though it felt like real-life month 95, still only 2.5 hours into the game, the New Republic took Levian back, pushing us another planet away from our ultimate goal. My computer was now in growing danger of defenestration, so I decided I'd try to help just a little bit. I also wanted to see how the AI would do with the Pathfinder slot, so I put in a unit to jump in first and headed to Kataris manually. From there, the AI was back in control, and it worked fine with the Pathfinder slot, jumping in all of its other units properly, including our giant Praetor carrier, and succeeding at taking out a significant chunk of the New Republic's fleet before repeating the same thing at Gravlix Med, which had been sitting isolated with a large stack for much of the game. Despite these victories, whether stopped by an irritation that I was overriding its clearly flawed grand plans, possibly the fact that most of our ground forces had been cut off in a massive stack elsewhere, or maybe the knowledge that its existence in the world would only continue for as long as this game lasted, Our AI partner didn't take advantage of these newly softened up targets, and they remained in our enemy's hands. Over the course of yet another hour, bringing us close to the 4-hour mark now, I still hoped that we were close to the end. But 2 hours of being so close to victory without being able to close it out had brought my optimism to the breaking point. The New Republic took Champala back, which wasn't great, but we could still go around through Ethor. The real battle was starting to become holding off the helplessness, anger, and despair I felt as I started to regret not just sending our massive fleet over to Contrim when I had the chance.
I will remember you.
I still felt like the game could end any minute, so I continued to put off dinner and grocery shopping, telling myself just 2 more planets and I'd take a break, assuming each time that we'd be the one taking those planets. Then, the New Republic hit 2 more times at Ethor and Orinda, and I had to accept that things weren't just failing to progress, but the New Republic might actually be mounting a comeback. I was ready to give up hope, but then Grand Admiral Grunger and his executor class not only pushed through to retake Champala and Theta, controlling all access through these areas once again, but they even continued on to take Levian too. The lesson here was that even if you feel like giving up and that things have fallen out of your control, always hold on to that hope. You can always still push through. I was so happy that I didn't even notice the oddities of having an AI-controlled human player meant that the ground forces sent with the attack plan, which would have been fine in an AI versus AI auto-resolve, had mostly died in the space portion, leading not to the reclamation of Levian 2, bringing us to the edge of victory, but instead a failed invasion on the ground. As I consoled myself with thinking of how much hard drive space I'd save by uninstalling the game and every single mod once this was over, the New Republic managed to take Agamar back. The AI sent Ib to keep just in time to prevent a successful attack on Kataris as well, but Akbar managed to retreat before being killed. Another save and the playthrough has gone from seeming like it was over an hour and a half in, to seeming like a stalemate at the 6-hour mark. Even with these reversals, we did have a definitive advantage in the economy and in units on the field, but as the New Republic moved into Theta with a fleet commanded by Voon Massa and his Lucrehulk, it felt like the whole thing hinged on this one battle. Theta currently divided all the remaining New Republic enclaves, while also connecting a few of our deeper planets, and giving access to Ethor and Champala, both of which connected to the all-important Levian 2. Any remaining peace of mind rested on a victory here. They outnumbered us, but it seemed like with some clever use of the hypervelocity gun, our AI would be able to pull it off. With a kill on Voon Massa and 3 of the 4 remaining capital ships nearly being destroyed as well, it looked like that may happen. But they managed to secure the victory with relatively minimal losses overall, while we only had a single Lambda shuttle escape. As I started yet another episode of Critical Role to watch while trying to record this, thinking I was settling in for another few hours at the very least, the New Republic commander who had replaced the now deceased Voon Massa, Chel Dorat, led his fleet on a devastating charge through our eastern flank, penetrating all the way up to Dubrillion through areas that had seemed secure since basically the start of the campaign. From there, Dorat was able to push through Gabrador into Munilinst, which was one of our best credit-producing planets. One thing was becoming increasingly clear. I had bet on the wrong team, and if I ever wanted to break free of this private hell I had constructed for myself today, the New Republic was my only hope. Most of our planets were falling easily to them, but while they had the killer instinct, we had several other planets which could definitely hold out for a while. Wanting to make sure I would have a place in this new galactic order, I began to use all of my years of Empire at War experience to skillfully sell several of our larger ships, like the Mandator 3, which I'd technically queued up anyways, so it doesn't really count. They were making good progress, but the biggest roadblock to them was going to be the massive crew of heroes we'd accumulated over the course of the game, which included several superstar destroyers and battlecruisers. Now, I couldn't sell those, but I could exit the game and code in a special buildable object, which would hunt down and kill all combat heroes on our faction with an efficiency that would put Order 66 to shame.
Execute Order 66.
There were going to be dozens of them that turned out to survive showing up later. With one click, they were all gone. Seeing the new opportunities that I had opened up for them, the New Republic repaid my faith in a way that my faction never had. They'd taken almost all of our planets, and I now watched as the New Republic's massive selection of fish tanks were led into our final shipyard at Jameis as my clock approached midnight, fulfilling the victory conditions that we had set 9 hours before and been on the verge of fulfilling 8 hours before. And also, I guess, technically teaching us to never give up or something? So, can you let the AI play for you and still win the Galactic Conquest? I think you probably can, but not this time. Maybe we'll see that in a future attempt. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, leave a like, subscribe, comment, and all those other fun things which lets YouTube know it should be shown to other people. If there's a challenge you want to see me try in Empire at War or even some other game, let me know in the comments as well. And maybe check out the last one we did with the Corvettes if you haven't seen it yet. Thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to my patrons whose support allows me to do weird stuff like this. Hope to see you next time.